Alright, video of probably little purpose. Anyway, so I think I will test the old disable comments because comments are just too useless. And it's just demonstrated by the comments. So I'll read some comments eventually in this video, I believe. I will eventually, somewhere in the video. So just little details, little stuff. Not a long day. It was a good day though. I mean, it was kind of productive, which is good. But anyway, I'm tired. It's a lot of work. Anyway. Reneto. That's like a name I haven't heard in a long time. Reneto. Yeah, so apparently he's fallen on bad times. So anyway, John Wright, who's a guy from Bloggerhead. Nice enough guy. Watches some of my videos. Nice guy. So I'll post a link to his video just pointing out that Reneto's Reneto's basically turned into Brett Keane, which is kind of funny, right? I mean, there's falling, and then there's falling just so badly, and he's always a conniving, well, they're all just conniving bastards, and yeah, it's just Reneto is just playing the audience now for sympathy, and it's just, gee. He was such an arrogant fuck when he was on top. And, now he wants to pretend like he's just a regular guy. Hard times. Rough. It's like, wow. Wow. Anyway, I don't know. The world's it just sucks. You just nuke this bug planet from space kind of thing. There's just nothing here worth preserving. Just so horrible. So anyway, Piro's been still, he's on his whole spirituality thing and all that stuff, and I'm just gonna stop watching these videos because there's no content in them. He just keeps blathering on and on and on about when we have these feelings and when we do, and he keeps talking like everybody's, like just like you know what hot and cold is, that somehow you know what a spiritual feeling is. It's just as obvious as hunger. Sorry, preposterous nonsense much? He's using this crap to explain avarice and desire, and he understands nothing of human psychology, and yet this guy feels competent to engage people who have clear, dramatic psychological problems. And he'll engage them as if he has some competence in this field, and he absolutely, obviously has no understanding of human psychology. And this all in the context of doing philosophy, which is, it's just so nonsensical to prance around in a philosophy discussion in your daisy suit and start singing. You can't sing at like a conference or something. A bunch of scientists go to a conference and you start singing or doing opera. I mean, it's just, I mean, I couldn't think you were this stupid, but apparently you're this stupid. Yeah, you're too stupid to know that words have to mean something when they're as communication devices. They're absolutely useless. If we all get to make up our own definition of words, then yeah, it's not communication anymore. It's a waste of fucking time. You don't have a counter argument for that. There's no rational reason to break words, except if you want to deceive people. Yeah, except if you want to pretend I'm being smart by saying 2 + 3 = 4. Yeah, smart, tricky and a half or something. I'm smart and a half. By a half. No, you're an asshole. You're just disguising nonsense as the truth because you like to live by nonsense, quite obviously. It's just disgusting to go on and on and on. So I want to play some of this just because it's just hilarious. I believe, and I'm not going to give you an explanation why I believe this. Because that's right, I believe it because I'm totally dependent on it because it's the only narrative where I get to be a Jedi and wear my underoos. I bought Jedi underoos at the depot, and you know, I got them for half price, and yeah, I'm gonna wear them. So I have to make up a story where I get to be a Jedi. But this isn't. This is fucking. This is just a. This is a brain fuck, and a bad one. Brain rape. Come on, button.
You can certainly pursue your hunger and your tastes, but you need to integrate that with what you know about whether you really need a sixth meal a day or whatever, whether you really need another Girl Scout cookie.
So apparently we can overdose on our spiritual feelings, and then we're too spiritual, or we're spiritual in the wrong way. Something. This is like I said. Does it mean something to you? Did you ever get a spiritual hangover? Did you drank too much spiritualness?
Might seem like hunger, but that's an unhealthy hunger.
Oh, and you'll tell us what's healthy and unhealthy. That's right. Based on what? Oh, that's right. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just drivel, dravel. Okay, survival is all we're here to do. Because I'm Pyrrha. So, if being a slave works for your survival, then I guess you should do it. I'm a little bit drunk and stupid. So, too much spiritual. Too many spirits are in me. Yeah. Yeah, they call booze spirits for a reason. You get it? They call it spirits for a reason. That's right, because it makes you an imbecile. They'll talk about spirituality. Fucking asshole.
As there is certainly such a thing as a healthy hunger. And
He says, you again. What if you have, wouldn't it be ideal not to have any hunger at all and just to monitor your weight and say, oh, I need to eat some food to maintain my weight? Yeah, that would be probably even better.
case of spirituality, as I said, I think it's more dangerous than that.
Yeah, spirituality is more dangerous than that. So you better watch out for your spirituality feeling. So it'll drive you to do something. No, sorry, I'm sale.
And more confusing, less clear what it is we're trying to get.
What it is we are trying to get. Again, we are all trying to do this. Like we all want a banana split or something, or ice cream cone. Well, this is all, yeah, we all have this common experience of needing our spiritual feeling. Sorry.
Just to put a rough shape to it, I think it's there to inspire us to feel connected to the universe.
There you go. The DNA put a spiritual feeling into you to make you feel connected to the universe. That's his fucking theory. Yeah, you have to live in a tiny niche environment, but we have a spiritual feeling because we were supposed to feel connected to the universe. Somehow that happened in our evolution. You know, sometime before, like when we're still picking ticks out of our assholes, yeah, we need to feel connected to the universe after we did a good tick picking. And so we could look up to the stars and go, oh, I'm connected to the universe. It's all okay. So I'm connected to the universe. Crock of absolute shit. You're just a hungry, horny organism. What you are hungry for is control. Okay? You know, when Nietzsche, you know, your hero, said will to power, no, it's will to control. All right? You want to possess, you want to control, you want to have. You want these things because these things give you control. It's not so much about power in the exercise of power. It's the exercise of control. You don't want the cancer to get you. You don't want the loneliness to get you. You don't want the humiliation of failure to get you. You don't want all these negative things to get you, including the big bad bear. And the way you stop them is to have control. And control is acquired by having fences and spears and weapons and power. It's problem solved. Your spiritualism is just a will to control.
The sense of the big picture and help us do big picture things. And I believe that it's...
Yeah, right. And I believe that this word has nothing to do with anything you're talking about. This is just a complete grotesque perversion of rational conversation. You cannot talk about spiritual feelings in any kind of rational context. It's just idiotic. You're faking. You're pretending. It's like pretending to be a cop or pretending to be a doctor or pretending to be anything. It's a pretense. It's not real. Okay, we know what spiritual has meant through all human history. You can't steal the word. One guy here out in the middle of nowhere, I'm going to sit there and say wet doesn't mean wet anymore. It means desert dry because I feel like changing the meaning of the word. So everybody play along with me, please. This is fucking, how could the fact that I've claimed you have a preposterous ego, but the very fact that you think you have some right to take the word and claim it and then redefine it, not a little different than the origin, but completely different than its origin.
That it's a need, that it needs to be satisfied. The spiritual feeling needs to be satisfied. It's not.
Yeah, so again, he keeps talking, again, prove it, demonstrate it, show me what people, when they had spiritual experiences, they didn't have spiritual feelings. So this is all crap, okay? And most of those experiences were based on some delusion, some narrative, some real beings. Jesus talked to them, some kind of crap like that. It has nothing to do with this crap that you're talking about, some ambiguous spiritual feeling.
Not satisfied, it will turn on itself. And this is one of the things that causes it to become unhealthy.
Again, he's going to tell us what is healthy or unhealthy. The drunk. Yeah, he's going to tell us. Fuck.
So, I believe that we're in a culture for thousands of years, not just...
There we go. A culture for thousands of years. So, I mean, not to even acknowledge that in the last 1,000 years, my ancestors have lived in about probably a dozen different, substantially different cultures. Substantially different mechanism, economics, different, the whole thing, substantially different. Idiotic.
America, not the West, but for thousands of years that has worked on a warlike principle.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I mean, really, human beings have been gluttons and greedy, and they've tried to steal each other's shit. Oh, gee. You just arrived at that conclusion, did you? And there's a mysterious cause. It's not human greed. The Spaniards didn't come over here for one fucking reason. Booty. I mean, this isn't complicated, fuckhead.
And I think an unhealthy kind of spirituality can motivate war. But once the war is won and those people are subjugated, it is necessary to separate the subjugated people from their own healthy spirituality. You need to instill
how would this example doesn't even mean anything in wars that are revolutions when those are won. So you're only talking about wars where the bad guys show up and the bad guys win. This is, again, meaningless drivel.
Fear, so that the big picture becomes one of a destructive world, and that ultimately is self-destructive for the individual, weakening them and making them easier to subjugate.
Yeah, again, where there's no evidence of any of this, it's just some ambiguous nonsense, mushy gibberish. People are greedy, okay? They want their government to find ways that we exploit foreign labor. We do a lot of things, and that's what people agree to it, even though they say, oh, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, but yeah, I vote for it because I win if we do it. That's how this shit happens. It's just plain, selfishness is the answer to your question. Okay? It's not a spiritual feeling. It's just gluttony and greed and selfishness. Fucking idiot.
Now, recently I have mentioned what I think is a relationship between war and slavery and rape. And I think slavery...
Oh, I'm not even going to waste my time with this, right? This is just too stupid, right? And rape. I mean, look, rape is bad, but let's not compare rape to war and slavery. You know, and it's just stupid. We know what rape comes from. It's not a spiritual disorder, okay? It's a fucking selfishness disorder. I mean, this isn't complicated. Why don't you throw pedophilia in there? Why don't you go, you know, war and slavery and rape and pedophilia and jaywalking and shoplifting. Yeah, spiritual disorder. Fuck you. Oh, what a kook. I mean, just, you know, I just don't know why. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see this coming. You know, when he came to my house, he seemed quite rational. He really didn't seem like he was reverting back into this bibble babble that he did 5 and 6 years ago. And he's just re-energizing. You might as well just start talking about paramecium's feeling again. I mean, it's just idiotic. He's fucking idiot. He's a fucking idiot. He doesn't understand psychology. He doesn't understand biology. And he's a phantasmagorical, silly person who's made up a big, fat, smelly lie about what's happening to us and what world we live in. And it's a smelly lie. Alright, so anyway, so this is the level of comments, right? So one guy posted a comment here. We'll go back to his comment, and then we'll read up. And we'll say, oh shit, he's right. Alright, so after this tech lock guy, he wrote, "You're right, inmendham. The comments are like 99% insane. It's often people posting nonsensical mush or other people telling others to fuck off. I admit I'm a culprit too. Maybe you should disable the feature." So anyway, he's making that suggestion. But yeah, let's go through this. Okay, so, alright, Poker Face Todd, the racist guy, says the candidity is controlling your brain. Well, in the first place, look, I've been drinking vinegar and eating horseradish and doing all the stuff you're supposed to do to kill it for a month now, taking the probiotics. If I still have a yeast infection, it would be pretty amazing. And you know, I've had a total of like 4 ounces of alcohol in a month, so I'm obviously not drinking enough to create a problem, and I'm not even too sure about the theory of drinking being a problem anyway. But anyway, fuck you, enough of this shit already. But whatever, I know you're just joking, but it's still stupid. Alright, and then, okay, Carla. So this would be another. There are facts, then there are narratives. We weave the facts into a story. Well, what's the point? You know what I mean? I mean, the facts should tell the story. You know what I'm saying? You describe, if there was a little Red Riding Hood, you describe her. You'd say, okay, this is a person. She was wearing red. She had a basket, a picnic basket. You know, she had a conversation with Yogi Bear on the way to Grandma's house, blah, 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 blah. You just describe what happens. The narrative is, you don't get to weave it. Okay, it's spelled out by the facts. The story is always shaped by the outlook of the narrator of the story. Well, again, you're saying so. I'm saying there shouldn't be a narrator of the story's perspective. The facts should just tell the story. It's not that complicated. The same facts can be woven into different stories. No, they only can do that if you're a liar or you want to cheat the facts. The facts tell the story. If you want to make up extra stuff and say, well, then Red Riding Hood put on her Superman suit and flew to the moon and saved all the Moonyites, well, that's all just a lie. See, because none of the facts would say that's happened. Ultimate truth would be the ultimately true story, not just the facts. Well, why wouldn't it be just the facts? I'm sorry, the facts are the story. The facts are a description of the event, of what it was made of how many parts it has. I could detail the facts of my biology. That would be the story. However, considering that stories are human creations and not just observations, well, again, says you. All right? I mean, there's no necessity to write stories. There's no necessity to do anything. The facts tell the story. So you say they're creations. I'm saying no. If you're creating the story, then you're failing to tell the story. None of these stories are true in the same way as a fact is true. Well, again, I don't understand how the facts don't tell the story. I don't know how the facts could possibly avoid telling the story. Any fact I detail, car wheels are round. I've already started the story. It's already begun. The stories serve humans to orient themselves in a world context. The stories serve humans to orient themselves in a world context. It's a map of reality. You can put real stuff in the map, or you can put fake stuff in the map. There's no law that says you can't put the spaghetti monster in the map. The point being made is if you put the spaghetti monster in the map, you might as well put Bugs Bunny in the map and Donald Duck in the map. Then you might as well give yourself 17 crystal orientation points. You might as well just make up anything then. You might as well say you have a diamond aura. A world context and make meaning of the world and their role in the world. Well, again, the meaning can just be made out of the facts. You just describe the facts. You say, gee, we have this word for comfortable and uncomfortable, and good and bad, and harm and comfort. And gee, we can figure out that there's a nice start to a story. Even if the story is that we don't have a role and should become extinct. Fine, exactly, but that's a story being told by the facts. The facts point out there's nothing to be accomplished because it's a zero-sum game. That's what they point to. That's what the facts point at. That's a reasonable story in light of the evidence. It's not a diamond aura. It's perfectly rational, logical deduction based on facts. You can assume that when you're telling the story of Red Riding Hood, and as soon as you start talking about the ground she's walking on, you can assume things like gravity. It's still meaning. Wherever a story about the world is being told, it is suggested that the world has, how far is this going to go? Meaning. Duh. And its structure can be reflected in language. Well, yeah, I mean, it's really not that hard. Words are just, we get to invent them. We get to figure out, we can name almost everything. We can have a special name for, like, the little things in between the windows. Yeah, we can name it all. Shit, because meaning is a function of language, and by telling a story about the world, the meaning of language is projected into the world. Well, again, it's just silly. We know the language is supposed to reflect the description of the things in the world. You have the word for the thing, then you have a description of the properties, and then you put other things in that same category because they meet the properties. So other things besides water can be wet because it can meet the standards, the properties that describe the word. Damn. Nihilism is the refusal to or inability to believe any story about the world at all. Well, that's not what it is. It's a negation of the fact that any story matters, which is different than no story at all. Nihilism is saying that it just doesn't matter whether everything is dying in a Holocaust or whether everything's eating ice cream. It's a preposterously ludicrous, idiotic conclusion to draw. You have to be insane to be a nihilist. Religion is the claim that the world's stories can be accurate reflections of reality. No, religion is a unsubstantiated claim by evidence of a ludicrous, preposterous, inconsistent with facts, made up fantasy. And on top of that, it's archaic. It's 2,000-year-old lies. It has no credibility. Religion is incredible. The stories of religion are incredible stories. They can't be an accurate reflection of reality because they're incredible. They have no credibility, no logical, cognitive sensibility. In the beginning was the word, and humans being made in God's image have potentially access to this true story, which I don't even understand. Says you. Okay, that's all I'll say to that. Says you. No evidence again. Naturalistic atheism is the inconsistent. Says you. Right, it is completely consistent with the evidence, all the evidence, and you have absolutely no evidence of any inconsistency. Self-refuting, how? So, prove it. No demonstration with evidence. Story that human storytelling leads to truth. No, telling stories doesn't lead to the truth. Describing the facts does. Even though, according to the same story, their brains are just pragmatic scheming tools, and truth is just a pragmatic concept. Again, prove it. Who says that? I haven't said anything like that. Why are you posting a comment like this on my video? I've never said any such preposterous thing as that. The truth meets a standard, which is consistency with evidence. If you cannot conceive of an alternative explanation, a reasonable alternative explanation, if you cannot create a contending or competing theory, then yeah, the thing wins. You have to be able to argue it. If you can't argue it rationally, it wins. And you're not arguing rationally, you're just declaring. Well, fuck you. Anyway. So, Karen the Kotak. Gary, look how fat your face is in this video. We grow better looking with time. Ha ha ha. It's just a silly, I mean, I've actually lost weight, crazy person. And if my face would look fat, it probably would make me look better. Okay? I mean, one of the things that's making me look worse is the very fact that I'm getting shallow. I mean, so you're just, of course, you're completely upside down and wrong, as always. You never get anything right, ever. Pathetic. So see, so far, this is just useless mush, right? Just tons of useless mush. So this, blithering genius. Okay, now this will be, you just know, this is like some guy on some forum that calls himself Mr. 10-incher or something. I mean, you just know this is going to be a disaster. What it ultimately reduces to in terms of value is that sentient beings can feel good and feel bad, and it's better that they not feel bad. Why is it better? I mean, you're just like, the whole word was invented, bad and good. The words were invented to describe things that fit into these categories. They are fundamentally repulsive, non-attractive, unharmful. These are concepts that are universal. Every individual knows something that is warmer and something that is less warm. So yeah, and if it gets to a certain amount of less warm, it's really bad. But I mean, the idea is it's less warm. They can tell the difference between warm and less warm. Okay, so this better concept is built into every human conscious experience. Every animal experiences it. It's just ludicrous to say, why is it better? It's better because that's the fundamental nature of it. It's intended. The whip and the carrot function differently. Yeah, carrots are better than whips. Retard. If you can't, I mean, really, we should just declare war. I mean, I just so want to not have to share oxygen with somebody as stupid as you. From whose perspective is it better? There's no perspective. We're not saying, is chocolate ice cream better than vanilla? We're saying human beings have the perception of sensation where they can feel like something's better than something else. They'll feel better. And what they feel about is irrelevant. Who cares why they feel? The point is they feel, and that some feelings are good and some feelings are not good. Value is just a reflection of the struggle to survive and reproduce. It's not a reflection, okay? It's a fundamental, essential feature of the niche we've capitalized. Is strategy, is being able to learn. These are all things we have to do to be able to survive the niche that we were surviving in. So it's fundamental to our function. We couldn't live, if we were as dumb as a paramecium, we wouldn't be able to survive because our survival required more complex skills. So it's just stupid to say value is a reflection of that. No, value is created by sensation, idiot. Okay? Sensate beings create value by experiencing, by feeling. If you can't hurt a feeling thing, your action can't mean anything. If you can hurt something, then your action can mean something. You don't understand that? It means nothing for me to imagine raping and murdering a 13-year-old. It means nothing for me to imagine it. If I do it, it means something, because then there's a victim. You can't figure this simple shit out, you fucking retard. Without life, there's no value. Well, there's no fucking harm, right? That's no deficit. That's right. Yeah, nothing, no holes to fill. Gee, how horrible. There's no life on the moon, and it's doing just fucking fine. You overlook this fundamental point. I don't overlook it. I argue it quite obviously that nobody laments the absent Moonikins. Nobody's lamenting the absent Martians or the absent Venetians, because they know if they did exist, they'd just be selfish, greedy motherfuckers who would probably be giving us a hard time. Outside the subjective perspective of some living being or group of living beings, there is no values. Again, this is just idiotic. You don't need a subjective perspective. I could create one suffering rabbit in the universe and put it in a little glass ball, and the fact that it existed and it was suffering would mean something. Sentience creates value by experiencing value. The value of sensation. I mean, how can you not know sensations are valuable? That you don't understand that it's the suffering of the Jews in the Holocaust that made the Holocaust mean something? God, people are just so fucking stupid. Yeah, I shouldn't have, like I said, I should not have to lower myself to explain something this basic. These people are insane. Yeah, that's it. They're insane. So, yeah, so obviously no good reason to bother with commenting to these idiots. Yeah. But what is rationality? Rational means something like based on correct methods of inference. Yeah, rationality means there's relationships between things. And 2 plus 2 equals 4. 4 is half as much as 8. This is rationality. Irrationality is saying 17 is half of 8. That's irrational. It's not consistent with the evidence, not consistent with logic, not consistent with the frickin' relationships and the proportions. We can see the relationships in the real world. We can understand that we feel. That means we can understand that the other guy on the street probably feels. We're all kind of can communicate with each other and explain our sensations. And even though wackos like Piro think they have spiritual feelings, all they really have is greed and selfishness feelings. And they want to call them something nice because they don't want to call them ego. Because they're pussies, they're escapists, they're liars, they're egomaniacal lunatics who just don't want to admit they're greedy, selfish pigs. Gee, fuck them. Alright, so look, if I understand correctly, it's argued that evolution refutes spiritual notions by referring to the mechanical and gradual process of psychological conditioning. That's right, after you're born. Meme conditioning. That's right. Most of these reactions we have to the world are trained reactions, learned reactions. I don't see how this is a valid argument because several disciplines and categories of subjects include overlapping explanations to the same node of phenomenon. Well, that means absolutely nothing. Prove it. Demonstrate it with a piece of evidence. Give me something rational. This is nothing. This is fucking drivel. Because several disciplines. What are you talking? What discipline? What I mean by this, yeah, of course, you're going to have to explain that because it was absolute nonsense. Is instances such as neurology and psychology, for example. They both account for the same node of phenomenon. They do. And yet they are different disciplines and allow for significantly different perceptions. How are their perceptions different? How is the neurologist and the psychologist disagreeing? Explain that to me. It's essentially an issue of perspective. Evolution is one of such perceptions and merely one perspective. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. Evolution is a fact of our origin, shithead. It works in a mechanical way. You can't just, it's like a gasoline engine is not a diesel engine, and it's certainly not a Ouija board. So if you're going to start describing Ouija boards and say that's evolution, like it was a gasoline engine, you'd be lying. Evolution is dictated by the facts of evolution. It's not subject to interpretation. You either accurately describe it or you inaccurately describe it. The world explained in terms of evolution, an analogy. God, these people are such fucking idiots. To this could be the perceptions of matrix. Well, how does this helpful, idiot? Let's use the metrics of centimeters and millimeters for exemplification. Is the distance 100 millimeters or is the distance 10 centimeters? Oh shit, so you're just going to talk about using different words to describe the same thing and say therefore those are different interpretations? They're not different interpretations. It's the same result. You just count it off, and this doesn't mean anything. The right answer in this situation is more obvious than in the previous ones. Both are right, of course. Now, I'm sorry, no, they're not. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you call it evolution, or you call it evolution. It's still evolution, shithead. It's described by its properties. You either accurately describe its properties or you inaccurately describe them. Take-home point here is one explanation model does not automatically invalidate all alternative explanation models. Whatever that means. What explanation model is just a silly concept. Like I said, things are described by their facts. You either model it accurately or you model it inaccurately. They are not different things. They can't be described differently. You could use different words. I can say shove, or I can say put, or I can say place. And it really doesn't matter which word I use. We know what the concept is, shithead. Different models will lead different perspectives. Again, there's either accurately or inaccurately model something. There's also an inconsistency in logic here, I think, when you attempt to explain away spirituality by means of evolution. Well, I'm sorry, there is no inconsistency, so that's a lie that you won't back up with a single shred of evidence. If spiritual feelings are invalidated by evolution, then so also must all other feelings. Why so? Like I said, we can directly correlate the reason why we have hunger. We can correlate why we have possession feelings, ego feelings. We can correlate those to evolution. We can see the advantage. Where would there be any capacity to relate us to the universe, as Piro described it, in a spiritual way? There'd be absolutely no such thing, no such evolutionary feeling for any such thing called the spirit feeling. And unless it's a universal feeling like hunger, or like warmth, or like smell, this claim that I'm supposed to have these spiritual feelings is obnoxious. You can't premise the argument by talking about this as if these feelings are universal. They're quite obvious. I'm telling you, I haven't had a spiritual feeling. I mean, I don't go into nature and say, ugh. I just don't. All right? I mean, I tend to get very depressed in nature, not spiritually uplifted or connected, because just the mere thought of all the parasites eating each other. Piro only likes nature because Piro has no understanding of nature. He has no accountability for it. He doesn't see the blood and the guts all over the damn floor. He's a fucking selfish asshole. He's too distracted by his own self-importance. Morality and ethics are likewise conditioned reactions in a mechanical universe. Well, again, you say so. I'm saying ethics is simple math. It's as obvious as 2 + 2. You're either wasting suffering and harm, you're either creating more of it, you're either being insufficiently efficient, or you're being efficient in your creation of sentient comfort. So either you're hurting more sentient beings than you're helping, however you want to describe that, but there's an efficiency equation, and it's a fact of your existence. To preserve consistency, I think you need to grant its meaningfulness at least in the same way as morality and ethics are granted meaning. Again, I don't see any need to do that for consistency's sake at all. The two subjects have nothing to do with each other. What you feel and what the truth is about the things in the world aren't related. Some men like to rape women. They enjoy it. Okay? Because they're idiots. Not because it's the truth that it's a good thing to do. They just don't get that creating harm isn't productive, and that they should feel bad about doing that, not good about it. Natural selection does not necessarily stop when the jungle environment is relinquished. Well, yes, it does, asshole. Okay, as soon as you invent the condom, you end natural selection. It's just too stupid. There's no point. I'm not gonna read all that crap. Piro's a fucking moron. Yeah, well, but I mean, thanks, but it's just not enough of an argument. Shoot, I'm going back to delete my comment near the LOL. Oh, okay, that's what I claimed I was gonna go back and find people. I think Piro's obsession with this is hospital day. I think Piro's obsession with spiritualism is connected to his mental ties to belief in a spooky free will. Yeah, well, he tried to defend free will. I don't get it, because on the one hand he seems to understand all the science and yet refuses to acknowledge that it leads solely to the basis of a feeling. Yeah, well, I don't get it either, and again, it's part of his ego. He has no intellectual integrity, quite obviously, because, like I say, he knows enough science to know this is crap. He certainly must know he can't claim everybody has spiritual feelings. I mean, that's just an insane claim. So yeah, I don't know what to say. Oh, no point in reading the ad. I'm crazy, fuck. I really am cool. I know what I'm doing. I'm completely in control. Whatever. Insane. Now this was sort of interesting. Yeah, see, he's a biodegradable man made a mistake here, because in a previous video I used cancer as an example of Piro's daughter. And I did it because I just was pointing out that if his daughter didn't die of a drug overdose, she could have died 2 years later of cancer. And the argument I was making is that it's not a controllable experiment. That this whole notion in Piro's head that, oh, if I had just turned the right dial, everything would have been okay, is crap. And maybe he's going to learn that, he'll have to learn that harder. I mean, maybe he needs a harder second lesson to learn that this isn't a controllable experiment. And he won't admit that. He just thinks people should keep playing the game, and just because I got burned and I don't want to play anymore, that doesn't mean you shouldn't play, you retards. Especially if you're some maniacal, selfish asshole who's only having kids because you can make some money off the deal as an insurance policy. So anyway, so yeah, somebody was saying this whole idea of him using this spiritualism crap as because of his daughter dying. Yeah, you go back 6 years ago, he was making these materialistic spiritualism video crap. So he's been doing the same shit long before his daughter died. This is some fundamental kook philosophy of his. And that's why he's lived an asshole's life. That's why he's an asshole. So anyway, you got the Christian kook. I'll show how spirits exist. A spirit is the existence of a sentient being. We are sentient beings. Our existence is aware substance, mind conjoined with unaware substance, material body. Gee, that's some kind of proof, buddy. We are sentient beings with a body, therefore we are spirits. Whatever. You're too fucking silly, too stupid, too duped, too retarded. I hope you get what you deserve, which is a good Muslim burial. Yeah, you kooks. You think your God theory is better than any of the other nutty religions out there? I mean, there's so many arguments against accepting a 2,000-year-old fucking fairy tale, you fucking idiot. I mean, what a waste of a brain. Really, just flush your head down the toilet, because it's crap. It's full of crap. It seems obvious. So anyway, what else did I want to do with this stupid idiot? There's no point in making, So anyway, I'll just go back to my agenda. It's just no point. Nobody's making any videos. There's nobody rational on this fucking shit medium. It's just so depressing. Nobody to have a conversation with has any kind of integrity, logical consistency. They're just all full of shit. Hey, there's Karen right at the top of the list when I say full of shit. Huh, what a surprise. Yeah. This is a funny one. I truly wish that Mendham and I were the same gender to keep these kinds of predictable comments from appearing. Here was somebody comment about, yeah, you in love much. Yeah, then they just call you too homo, you know. You're homo for Gary. That's what they do. So that's not going to solve your problem. You seem quite obsessed, bitch. That's what everybody's basically trying to tell you. Is that your agenda seems petty and pointed, and they're saying nobody does emotionally hysterically stupid videos unless they got some sort of emotional problem. And it seems quite obvious you have an emotional problem because you're not making rational arguments. You're just keying my car. When somebody keys your car, you say, oh, the bitch has got a problem. Jesus. Yeah. People are just so stupid. Oh, there's a Puro comment. There he is, the Malcolm X of AN, but the philosophy really needs now is a Martin Luther King. Well, says you. What it needs is a will to live. Just so stupid. Again. Why does it need a will to live? Why should it will to torture new victims? Doesn't make it, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. ANs aren't talking about dying. They're talking about, well, like, of course they would like the right to die. But again, he can't separate. He can't understand the difference between procreating and living his own life. He just can't see it because he's so invested in his own fucking fucktarded ego. The last thing we need is people that see how fucked up things are to be the ones giving up. Again, they're not giving up. They're saying, let's fix it. But they're saying, let's understand what we're fixing. Okay, we're fixing something that needs to be taken down. Okay, it's a toxic waste dump. It's like a nuclear power plant. You don't just shut it off. You slowly let it wind down. And to turn it off, it takes a little while. The people that run the banks aren't giving up. Well, again, see, he thinks the bankers are caused all the trouble. It's not the greedy, selfish assholes who borrowed all the money. It's not the people who wanted their taxes cut so we could borrow money from the rich and be owned by the rich forever. So again, he doesn't understand anything. He gets everything wrong. Let's see. Yeah, so when I started watching him, he covered local politics and other things besides how unwinnable the world is. I don't know what that means. But anyway, yeah, and I still have the other channels. I still make videos about that stuff. Whining and kvetching, he calls it. So I'll call that when he's just a baby having little tantrums about its war and rape, like a little tiny baby, a little emotional twat. Little hysterical woman. Yeah, they're okay. But take this video. I believe response to him tantrum illustrates my point about tangibility of feelings. I don't think so. God, that was a great sentence. But take this video. I believe response to his tantrum illustrates my point about tangibility of feelings. Wow. Not drunk at all. Yeah, I'm going to call him drunk all the time just because he's playing games with my emotional... I have sympathy for his emotional condition. Yeah, well, I don't have any sympathy for your drunken condition. I actually have contempt for it, so I'll just rag about it every opportunity I get. You and Gray Tex, you know, you sit there and play games, you know, invading other people's private space with your innuendos, and fuck you. I sympathize with emotional difficulty as I see myself as having difficult overt psychology. Well, that's fine. Go ahead and look at yourself any way you want. But I'm not in your category, jackass. I'm not talking about what I feel on the internet, asshole. I have no interest in having conversations about my personal feelings. I'm making philosophy videos, fuckhead. You drunken pussball. You fucking ass wipe. Oh, shit. The wayward guy was cutting him way too much slack in here. I should find that one. And he gave just a preposterous answer to him. Yeah, here it is. I would react with interest. I think it probably is something along those lines, as I'm essentially absurdist. Well, there we go. He's an absurdist. Oh, great. I'm not. And think the purpose of life is not to find meaning, but creating it. Creating it. So there, don't discover the truth, make it up. Okay, we don't need to say anymore, do we? We don't need to read anymore. We got it right there. He thinks it's absurd. This is the definition of a glibist, right? Can you get more glib? I think it's absurd. It's not horrible. No, it's just absurd. And fuck meaning, I'll just make it up. Fuck the truth, I will just lie. Fuck the victims, fuck them. I will not acknowledge their existence. I will not acknowledge any necessity to build a real ladder to climb to rescue them. I will just make up some kind of fairy story like, if I huff and I puff, I can blow the flames out. Just read a Three Pigs fable and pretend I've solved the problem. I mean, you look at this stuff and you're just saying, how can he say this stuff with a straight face? Spiritual feelings, when they are positive, whatever spiritual feeling, again, I'm supposed to know what that means. What's a spiritual feeling? When they are positive, seem to me to be a lot about feeling connected to the whole universe. The whole universe. And he thinks this is a function of the DNA. The DNA wants us to feel connected to the whole universe. Let's just go back to the beginning. Will to control. We want control. We want to feel good, and we know the easiest way to feel good is to control the things that are going to try to make us feel bad. Not complicated. And we become possessive because we need things to make us feel like we're in control. Control of our status even. Control of how what other people see when they look at us. We need to control perception. We need to control every element of it so we feel good about being us. Because we're selfish fucks. Not spiritual fucks. This is way, way, way past enough. I thought there was some other bullshit I want to get to, but yeah, I can save it for another day, for sure, right? For sure. Really, there's just nothing. This is the deadest YouTube has ever been. Nobody's saying anything that means anything.